Most underrated South African athlete at the moment.
Atemba Bavuma.
What's the one thing people get wrong about you?
That I'm an outgoing person.
Have you always been this driven?
Yes.
Or did it come on later in life?
No, always been this driven.
Have you ever hit the point where you thought, I'm just going to give up?
It's important to say that it's okay not to be okay.
Have you ever felt like a fraud behind the mic?
Absolutely.
What was the moment when you realized I've actually made it?
I don't think I've made it.
During your time with him, did he mentor you or actually challenge you? Which part was it?
Definitely challenged.
The most surprising thing about Gareth Cliff that people don't understand.
A really nice guy.
The darkest confession an athlete has given you off camera.
This episode is powered by Gym Store, your one-stop shop for commercial grade and home gym equipment.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Endure Edge, South Africa's #1 health and wellness podcast. Just before we get into things today, I just want to thank everybody for the love and support. We reached 10,000 followers on Instagram the last week, and I was so excited for that. So thank you everyone for the love and support, for always coming back and listening, for interacting on social media, for all the subscribes on YouTube. It's really awesome. We'll do our best from our side to bring in the most amazing guests, just like today. We have an amazing guest. He has his own podcast. He is a media personality, a storyteller, and he has sat down with some of the biggest sport heroes in South Africa. Guys, you will know who he is. Follow his podcast, the Sias du Plessis Show. Sias, brother, thank you.
Thanks for having me on, Jacques, and congratulations. 10,000 on Instagram. I'm sure that's just the beginning, man. You're doing amazing things, so keep up the great work.
No, thank you, man. And you know, having you here today, I'm a bit starstruck, so I might stutter a bit. It's so awesome. You know, you come far in this media industry. Your show's amazing. The guests that you've had. And I want to pick your brain a bit. But before we go down that road, take us back to before, let's call it the fame, before media. Tell us a bit about who is Sias du Plessis before all of that.
Jeez, how much time do you have? Firstly, just thanks for having me on. I'm so used to being the guy that asks the questions, so flipping the script today. But Jacques, thanks. I think, let's start. I was a young boy from KwaZulu-Natal, grew up on a sugarcane farm. My dad didn't own the farm. He was a manager. So my mom was a teacher. So like pretty humble background. Like they did everything for us three kids. And I always wanted to play cricket for South Africa from day one. Sean Pollock gave me my under 15 KZN colors. I have a photo of that. And that was like the moment where I'm like, I want to play for South Africa one day. And my mission was to get there. And I was this ginger kid trying to emulate Sean Pollock as much as I could. And we got to a point where I got an opportunity to go and play some cricket in the UK. And that's where I kind of grew up, being exposed to different cultures. And on Sundays, I used to play for a team called Castletonians, which was me, Tomo the Aussie, this tall, fast bowler, a magnificent human being. And there were 9 other West Indian lads. So it was these 2 white guys immersed in this Caribbean culture for good part of a year, 2 summers. It was a wonderful upbringing, and came back to South Africa more determined than ever to play at the highest level, but it just wasn't meant to be. And ended up at Tux, and there I was having beers with a few mates, and they would like, listen, you should go and audition for the radio station. I'm like, you guys are talking crap. Like, can I just enjoy my Zamalek and let's get on with it, you know? And Rian van Heeren was the station manager at Tux FM. And I walked in there, and Fissy, who's now news editor at Jacaranda, shout out to Fissy, Marius, and the whole crew were there. And like they were like, "What are you here for?" And I said, "No, I want to be a DJ." I mean, I had Dutch courage, you know. I felt like I could do this. And they're like, sorry, bro, you're far too boring. Thanks, but no thanks. I was like, okay. So no crickets and broadcasting, whatever. I got a phone call an hour later from Rian going, by the way, you like sport, right? I was like, yeah, I like sport. Why don't you become our sports guy? I was like, is this a joke? Because you just told me I was too boring, right? Like, no, you start on Friday. This is the Wednesday. Coming for training tomorrow. And Friday, I was thrown into the deep end for a 30-minute sport show called The Touchline. And I had a guy called Simon Frost who was running the desk. And I remember making a colossal stuff up on my first show where we had a partnership with the Bulls, the Blue Bulls at the time. And I was supposed to be interviewing Donnie Rousseau, but I got the wrong Donnie's phone number. And when I phoned him live on air, I said, hey, Donnie, geez, congratulations on making your debut for the box at hooker and blah, blah. He's like, I think you have the wrong Donnie.
Oh, no, this is live.
Not a great start. And since then, I've been very fortunate to end up in a few places where someone took notice, saw a little bit of talent, gave me an opportunity, and I'm so grateful I haven't looked back.
Wow, that's actually such a cool story.
Yeah.
Coming from KZN,
Yep.
wanting to play for the Proteas, I'm sure.
I was so determined because in my matric year, we played our rival school, DHS. I was a Glenwood boy.
Okay.
And DHS had...
What year were you, Glenwood?
98.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm a
Okay.
bully.
You look good.
Hey, berries.
It's the ginger thing.
Herbs and berries, sunscreen. And we played a day-night game on Kingsmead, like on the actual.
Wow,
and
on the
I was
same
like
pitch.
17 years old, going, this is where I want to be, and it's the same pitch as my heroes were playing. And
Yeah.
I think that was when I was really determined. But what I didn't know at the time, which a lot of kids do know now, is how to approach sport mentally. Because we were just playing. There wasn't, you got to do gym, you've got to have a mental coach.
Yeah, we just went on
it's
a Wednesday
different
into the
story.
nets and bowled and
100%.
batted for 3 hours. Yeah.
Different story today. It's school sport is professional.
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not, it's professional.
And we're going to touch a little bit on that just now.
Sure.
I want to stick onto the life of CS. But just before we carry on, I just want to put something out there because about a month ago, I had a guest on called Chad Nathan, aka Ginger with a GoPro.
Yeah, big fan.
And after we launched his show, my DMs went crazy. I think Ginger's the new thing, okay? My DMs went crazy. Connect me to Chad. He's so good looking. He's so hot. Oh, we love this. We love Chad. Are you single?
No, I'm married.
Okay.
Married. Yeah.
Guys,
Married.
please, no DMs. He's married. He's taken, okay?
There we go. It's official.
I didn't see the ring.
No,
He's married and taken. No DMs, please. I know he's ginger and good looking, but that's where it ends.
Do you know where it comes from, right? So there was a study when I was on 5FM, and Gareth Cliff picked up on it, that gingers were going extinct and that we needed to breed. The problem is it's a gene, it's a recessive gene that's carried on the mother's side. So if she doesn't have it, it doesn't matter that if you breed
If
with
the
a ginger
father's
guy,
got it, yeah.
but we didn't want to tell anyone that because obviously gingers were in fashion at the time. But yeah, it's because we're going extinct.
So it's Gareth Cliff's fault that I'm getting all the DMs for the ginger guys.
But no, us gingers, we need to stick together, and we do need to breed more. That's for sure.
Yeah, I've actually just clicked. I've got a thing for on the Endure Edge. We've had Lucky du Plessis, now Sias du Plessis, 2 gingers. we've got a story going here.
I like this.
What's the one thing people get wrong about you?
That I'm an outgoing person.
Okay, you're an introvert.
I'm an introvert that happens to be in the broadcast industry. And often my good friend, cameraman, I suppose, confidant, Ray, we've been together since 2010 World Cup. And
So he knows you.
He knows me in and out. And he knows exactly when I feel awkward in a situation. And he says, you're very good at faking like the small talks and that. And once I'm comfortable, I can talk to anyone. But generally, I'm an introvert. I'm not someone who craves the attention. I'm generally the person who listens in the room and then gives my opinion. I'm not going to compete for airtime in a space. And I think people expect, just because I'm on television, radio, the podcast, that I'm outspoken and I'm this person who's larger than life, or just tries to take up all the air in the room, but that's not me.
That's not you. But the confidence is there.
Yeah,
I can feel it sitting there right now. The energy is there.
I have learned to back myself, and it's taken time to do that, because I think we kind of grow up in this culture of skis tatak lewe. You know, there's a lot of this like kids should not sort of be heard. They should just be seen type thing. And that's nonsense. You know, we've encouraged my son to speak his mind within, you know, the right parameters, within respect of the family. And there's a hierarchy, yes, but he must speak his mind and voice his opinion. And I think since having my son and learning that, it's allowed me to bring that confidence, to back myself, and to know that no one's going to stand up for you. So when the time comes, you have to speak up, you have to be heard, and you have to put your point across. Otherwise, you just sort of fall by the wayside.
You're just going to be bulldozed.
Yeah.
You're a driven individual. I can see that. I can see it on the Instagram, all the traveling. We've been talking for a while.
Yeah.
I know you're busy. Have you always been this driven, or
Yes.
did it come on late in life?
No, always been this driven. I think I've been, how can I put it? I've been a freelancer before recently joining the corporate world. Going on almost 20 years. So I was fortunate that I started getting into broadcasting when I was 19. So it's been a long, wonderful, painful journey. But I look at it as like T20 cricket versus Test cricket. Freelancers, T20 cricket, and you kind of play a series and it's done. Get paid, move on. Whereas corporate world, for example, is like Test cricket. You go through hard times, challenges, but it's a long play. And I think in being a freelancer for so long and fighting for contracts, I mean, at the SABC, it's a 1-year contract. Everyone sees this amazing, like, oh, geez, these guys are on 5. They've got the best gig in the world. And yes, it is the best gig in the world, but it's a 1-year contract. And those contracts run until March. And if you don't have a contract by March, sorry, mate, that could be the end of your career. Then you're shopping around. So I've learned in that space to be driven, to be motivated, and to always be focused on some sort of target. And I think it drives my wife crazy. It drives my family crazy, because they always say I'm never happy. I'm never satisfied. I am happy. I am satisfied. But I know that I can always be better in certain things. Like we'll shoot a link, for example, or I'll do a podcast and I'm like, oh, come on, man. I could have done that better. So internally, I'm very driven.
So hearing you say that, it's normally hard moments that shape people's life like that. What's the hardest moment in your life that shaped it?
I think, and I've never really said this before, but when my father was diagnosed with Parkinson's, that was something that really hit me harder than I ever thought it would. Because I've seen this war veteran, this farmer, this strong guy, this person who didn't have a lot of money. He tried to make his way in this world. I mean, he was the son of a miner, you know. We come from a very humble background. And that moment made me realize life is short and that you need to have your stuff together. And I think that's one instance where I sort of realized that I need to man up. I've got to be a role model. I've got to be someone. And yeah, thank God he's dealing with the disease and he's still with us to this day. But that was one of the hardest things. I think my folks were attacked on the farm many years ago. I wasn't there. I felt almost, not responsible, but I felt like shit, I should have been there. Yeah. Luckily, thank God, nothing happened. But yeah, so there's been a few bumps on the road that have been almost like a reset for me. Without going into too much more detail, my son had a seizure straight after the COVID vaccine. And I was always pro-vaccine, get vaccinated, try not to die with this disease because we don't know what this virus is. And he had his shots and he had a seizure, and that scared the shit out of me. And that was a few years ago. And yeah, so yeah, there's been some stuff that I've had to. I've never shared this before, so
no, thank you for being raw and honest.
And kind of just makes me very grateful for what I have today.
Well, that's it. And I think talking about it, and thank you for being raw and honest, is going to help people out there and realize that they need to be grateful and appreciate life. I mean, and we take the small things for granted.
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen people, and you're going like, well, that guy's such a douchebag, but you don't know what's going on in their lives. You don't know what's happening behind the scenes. And I've realized that you have to sometimes just read the room and just realize everyone's going through their stuff. Everyone's dealing with shit.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of this world.
No, even me, I had a little bit of a rude awakening that you say that I was a douchebag on the road the other day. And there was a real road rage incident.
Oh, really?
And the guy that we had a fight with actually jumped out the car.
No way.
And I was having a bad day.
Yeah.
And I also jumped out the car. And as I jumped out the car, he goes, I know your wife. So I backed off and I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. And he's like, oh, now you being a little scared. I used other words, but
sorry, I'm swearing on your show.
No, you can swear. You please swear. I also swear on it. Don't worry. It's just I don't want to say the P word. It's like now you're being a little pussy. I was like, oh geez, okay. Anyway, and we had a go. We didn't hit each other or anything, but we had a go outside of our cars to each other. A week later, I'm standing at a 40th in Belito of all places. And 50th actually in Belito of all places, and some guy goes, "Hey Jacques, apparently the two of you know each other." And I turn around and he has a
No way.
and I just looked at him and I apologized. I'm like, "But I'm so sorry." But I mean, like you say, you don't know what's going on. I had a bad day. I was having a bad day, and I shouldn't have been that guy, but I was that guy. But read the room and see what's going on in people's lives.
It's so hard though, bud. The pressure we are under as human beings in this country. All the time, you have your spidey senses tingling 24/7. And I mean, we're under pressure to perform in our workspace. We have to be providers for our family. And yet at the same time, we then expected to navigate other people who are in the same scenario, having a bad day on the roads when there's no traffic lights working, there's potholes, taxis are riding you off the road. It's very hard not to snap.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I'm working on it. I don't have the answer, but I keep telling myself, I'm not giving you my energy. I need every ounce of my energy just to get through a day. I'm not giving you any more of my energy, so I'll just turn my music up or whatever, or listen to your podcast.
No, and it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
I'm also working on it. But like you say, you got to mentally be there and remind yourself all the time.
We're human beings.
Have you ever hit the point where you thought, I'm just going to give up?
I wouldn't say that I hit a point, thank God. And I know there's a lot of people who are at that point. And I think it's important to say that it's okay not to be okay. Like we had a few people that over the years have taken their own lives. And it's always for me very sad. I know some people see it as selfish and that you leaving your family behind. I mean, I had someone on my show. It's one of the episodes coming out and he is someone who was a champion, a world champion, and decided one day after work that he was going to drive into the Hartbeespoort Dam.
He's been on my show too.
Okay, there we go.
Donnie van
There we go. Yeah, so it just reminds
goosebumps again because I remember him telling the story.
It just reminds you that there are people that are so desperate that that's their last resort. They have no other way out. And thank God for me, I've never been in a position where I've been had those thoughts. But I've definitely been in a position where I lie awake at night and I cannot sleep because I'm stressed about the week ahead.
Yeah.
What stories am I going to sell? Am I going to get a guest? Those type of things. And that takes some serious conversations with yourself to really remind yourself things are going to be okay. And 9 times out of 10, they tend to work out.
Yeah, things do seem to work out.
Yeah, in some strange way.
I come from a gambling addiction background.
Okay.
So, and I've also realized things work out.
Yeah.
You just got to put that one foot in front of another, the next step, and things do work out. You say you're an introvert. I want to go touch on that a little bit.
Sure.
Have you ever felt like a fraud behind the mic?
Absolutely.
I'm so happy you said yes.
No, absolutely. I think, and this is probably something everyone tends to go through, especially when they start in the broadcasting industry. So I remember 2010 World Cup. I had just done it wasn't a Springbok game, it was an Ireland All Blacks game. And one of the presenters hadn't arrived for their shift. And the producer came running to me and said, Sias, I need you on air in the next 10 minutes. I'm like, what are you talking about? I've just done 2 back-to-back rugby games. That kicked off it was a New Zealand game and an Aussie game. So I'd been there since 4, whatever it was. No, there's a World Cup game between South Korea and Algeria on our broadcast, and our presenter has not arrived. You need to go into studio. I'm like, I haven't even prepared for this. And I sat down and I looked across. I remember it vividly. It was Sean Bartlett, it was Andre Arendse, and then there was another guest who I can't remember right now, but he was a former African footballer who had won AFCON. So it was like heavy hitters.
Yeah, not small
and
names.
Sean Bartlett turns to me and he says, you got this. And I was shitting myself because I don't know who was playing for South Korea and Algeria. It's the FIFA World Cup in South Africa. It's a huge broadcast. Look, it's not the biggest game, but the audience was massive.
Yeah.
I sat down and I'm like, I'm not good enough. And then as soon as Sean Bartlett turned to me and he said, you got this. And Andre Arendse, let's go, matey. I knew I was in a good space. And that helped me a lot. So I still think to this day when I have a podcast and I have an amazing guest and I don't have the numbers, the views that I want on YouTube, I'm like, what am I doing? You know, to this day, I feel, am I doing it right? Am I boring? What's the story, you know? And that's a dangerous place to be, is that self-doubt voice that creeps in. But if you love something enough, you'll see it through and you'll continue doing it, regardless of what other people think. So yes, there's definitely times where you go, am I really this guy that everyone else thinks is pretty cool? Or am I just a fraud at times? But that also comes with time, comes with doing this, comes with talking to people, comes with being at peace with yourself, who you are as a human being, and knowing that the content that you're putting out is solid, it's inspiring people. If it's one person, great. If it's 50,000 people, even better. But if you change the life of one person through a story that you're telling, hey man, that's good enough for me.
I saw this post on Instagram, excuse me, the other day. And funny enough, actually, she says hi, Jessica Levitt.
Okay,
yeah, friend
wow,
of mine.
Yeah,
I just remember that because we were talking about the post.
Yeah, jeez, long time.
And the post had 4 different pictures. And the first picture was a guy standing on a stage in a room in front of 10 people. And it says, this is how 10 followers look. And the next one, this is 100 followers look, and 1,000 followers, and 2,000 followers. And I thought, wow, look how many people it actually is, 100 people in front of you.
Yeah.
And that's what we've got. We don't see that. So you might only have 100 subscribers, but that's actually a lot of people.
100%.
Society has made it that it's not a lot because it's on YouTube, it's online. But 100 people that are listening to your thing is a lot of people. Even 50 people.
100%.
And we forget that as content creators.
You're right. You sit in front of 50 people and you look at a room and you go, geez, that's a lot of people. I remember a story when Dricus had just won the title for the first time. And I was asked to MC a breakfast where he would be interviewed. And I was like, breakfast. So in my head, I pictured, I said, how many people could be at a breakfast? 50? 100? Anyway, so I drove up to the venue and I was like, this is a lot of cars. And I was like, okay, but let's say maybe it's 200 people. I mean, this is the introverted me talking now, right?
Yeah.
And I honestly do not enjoy emceeing, but kind of part of the territory. So get on with it.
And also, how can you say no?
Exactly.
Because it's just won the belt.
It was hype, but it's that little voice inside your head that's going, hey man, there's quite a few people here. And I walked into the room, there was 1,000 people.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, what have I done? And then I'm like, cool, Dricus is there and he's the champ and it's amazing. It's history for South Africa. And sort of I just parked those fears and I went, you know what, let's just celebrate the champ. But to your point, if you're sitting in front of a room of 1,000 people, that is a crap ton of people. So if there's 100 people that listen to your podcast or view your podcast, whatever it is, it's 100 people that have taken time to pay attention to what you and your guest have to say. And that's credit to you, because in this day of short attention spans, people are on this TikTok death scroll or Instagram reel scroll. Like, it's still something, man.
No, and it's actually, it's not upsetting. I love it. But when my shorts do better on YouTube than the main video, but it is what it is.
They do that anyway.
Yeah.
So I think like invariably, because of people's attention spans, you're going to see like with your Instagram reels, with your shorts on YouTube, there's always going to be 5x, 10x on that, just because people will tune in for a 30-second, 40-second
and that's
reel.
it, those short attention spans.
I mean, how long is your podcast normally?
An hour.
So I tend to look at that as a sort of sweet spot for me, because if people are going to listen to the show, generally they'll listen on a commute.
Yes, or a gym.
Or
running
gym.
on a
So
treadmill.
that's an hour session, or if it's an hour in traffic.
Yeah.
So I think it's a sweet spot. But like if you can give someone 45 seconds and it's a big guest and they say something profound, but it's always going to win. It's always going to win. So you just have to kind of get on with it and say, okay, next guest, please.
No, you're right. You're right.
It's tricky though, because it does play in your mind. You're like, oh, so should I just put out shorts?
Yeah, it's just
like,
sit
what's
and
the
do
point?
10 shorts.
You know, Jesse, like, he doesn't need to edit an hour per, anyway, I'm just saying.
What was the moment when you realized I've actually made it?
I don't think I've made it.
Okay, well, you have made it. I'm telling you, you've made it.
What I say.
And yes, perfection is never there.
No, sure. I think I'm always chasing the perfect podcast, the perfect interview, the perfect link. But I do think where there's been moments that I've kind of patted myself on the back and said, geez, bro, you, this ginger little kid from KZN running
from the
around,
sugar farm.
You know, exactly. I think I'm blowing smoke up my own ass. Sorry.
Please, you're allowed to.
I don't like it. But at 5FM, when I came in, sport was just something that the DJ moved on from very quickly. And it was guys who copied and pasted off the Supersport website and read it verbatim. Sometimes it was from round 3 of the Masters and it was finished, bro. Like, so I came in there with a mission
to change that.
I wanted to make sure the listener sitting in shitty traffic every day would have the latest sport and we would have the best guests. And if there was something to talk about, I would phone someone and we would talk about whatever it was, right? Anyway, so it started off a little bit bumpy, getting guests to talk at 6:30 in the morning, but eventually we got into this rhythm where we were like getting the biggest guests just to talk on the phone. And Gareth was like, how did you get that guy? And that was like a feather in my cap. And then I won Best Sports Presenter on commercial radio. And no one at 5FM had ever done that before.
Wow.
I was the first to do it in sport. And for me, that was like proper recognition. I didn't make it to the awards. I was sick. Can you believe it? I lost my voice.
Your first...
So I didn't even get to go, which was a major bummer. But I remember lying in bed and my phone just went nuts. And they said, you've won. And so that was a moment that I'll always sort of cherish. And then after that, I won a few more awards, but they weren't the same as that one because for me,
was that the MTV Radio Sports Award?
Yes, yeah, back in the day. So I'd set out on a mission and I'd achieved that mission. But yeah, like I say, I still don't think I've quite made it because I'm always looking for that perfect thing, which maybe is just a concept in my head.
You mentioned a name now, Gareth Cliff, the OG. I feel he's the OG. He's the one that took radio to the online world.
Yeah.
Left 5FM, all of that. You spent a lot of time with him on the show, as you just said.
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah, I'm surprised I'm not grey. Well, I am part.
So a lot of people find him controversial.
Yeah.
Which he is, and rightly so. Yeah. The things you talk about are the things that we don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
The people out there don't want to talk about. What did Gareth teach you in those 7 years being with him?
I think just to be authentic. So if you have a view, stick with your view. Don't change that. And don't be scared to, give your opinion. what people don't realize about Gareth is he is deemed controversial, but he doesn't set out to piss off people for the sake of pissing off people. He does it because he genuinely believes in that viewpoint. And it's an educated viewpoint. Gareth's not the type of guy that just makes up something and just blurts it out. You know that he's read, spoken, and taken in the content before he's putting out his...
He can back it up.
He is a very intelligent man. I think he's one of the greatest broadcasters we've ever seen in this country. Not everyone's cup of tea, but everyone listened because of Gareth Cliff's opinion. We had Thabo Modesane's funeral a couple months back, and bumping into Gareth and Leanne and Mabali, you know, we kind of sat around the table, and it was like we were back in the studio again. It was incredible. We were bouncing off each other, shooting the breeze, just reminiscing about some amazing stories. Yeah, so GC is someone I respect hugely. I have a lot of time for him. He always wishes us happy birthday. We always wish him happy birthday a day or two late, but
it gets done.
He's actually a wonderful human being. And when I saw how he interacted with, Headway, for example, the guys who have the brain injuries, where he used to pause on his way to a flight in the airport for 15 different girls out of a netball team. He took time to take a photo with every single one.
Wow.
I have mad respect for the man.
No, that's respect.
Yeah, mad. I think people misinterpret him, but he's actually a very, very nice human being, and he's someone that I respect immensely.
During your time with him, did he mentor you or actually challenge you? Which part was it?
I wouldn't say mentor, definitely challenged. I think he had this amazing show that was the Gareth Cliff Show. And he used to be the star of the show, but he never made us feel like he was the star of the show. We always had an opportunity to speak. We could contribute. We had to bring our A game every time, even though at times, you know, I was in at, sometimes 5:15. Leanne was 1 minute past 6 and the news jingle was playing. Gareth was just in studio at 5 to 6. But once we got into the studio, we all clicked, and he gave us an amazing platform, which definitely catapulted my career. So I'll be eternally grateful for that opportunity. But I wouldn't say mentor, good friend. He was there through thick and thin. When, you know, you go through tough times, he could see that. I remember once I had a migraine on air. And I didn't know I was having it. The whole side of my face was numb. And I was starting to, at 6 o'clock, you would read headlines at the end of the news bulletin, and then 6:30 is your full sports bulletin. So generally by about 5:45, I would have my 6:30 bulletin ready, but I'd just do my headlines. And I mumbled some garbage, and he's like, Sias, what did you just say? And I was, I promise you, and he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm not. And then he quickly went to a song, and he's like, you okay? And I said, I'm not feeling well. And the next thing I just had was that tingling, and I like shut down. So like, he was like, do we need to call an ambulance? What's the story? So luckily I just lay down there, covered up my eyes, headache tablets and that. But I had a proper migraine on air, and he just was super accommodating and genuinely concerned. And he just was like checking in every time. So yeah, it was an amazing experience just in general, the 7 years. And when we had to finally say goodbye, I mean, that clip is like done thousands and thousands of views. And Gareth was like, this is it. Here we go. It was surreal. It was like, we're not done yet. But we had to accept what it was.
Yeah, sometimes you're not done, but you're done, eh?
100%. I maintain to this day we could still be going.
Wow.
I really think so. I just think Gareth's probably fallen out of love with radio.
Yeah, and I think people change. People's passion
Absolutely
changes.
He's done an incredible job.
Yeah. Well, everything, idols.
Yeah. I mean, he's done an incredible job. But I maintain to this day we could pick up that show tomorrow.
That'll be awesome. Maybe a reunion.
Who knows? We'll see.
Maybe a reunion. We'll make a reel out of this and at Gareth Club at the Real Network.
Yeah, I really think that the way that the chemistry we had. You look at radio teams in the mornings. I mean, I think Anele and her team do it very well. Martin and his team do it very well. There's this chemistry, and I mean, forgive me if I'm not mentioning other shows, but I just consume a lot of different radio as we go. So I'll hop between the different radio stations. I think Hot is a pretty cool station with some like very talented former
all the OGs.
I think Tara Penny is like one of the best newsreaders we've ever had. But when it comes to the chemistry and being able to connect, read each other, and create entertaining radio that someone doesn't want to get out of their car and they want to listen to the end of the link, I still think Gareth, myself, Mabali, Leanne, we could really bring that to life again. I think so.
Well, there's definitely space for
We'll
that.
have to wait and see. You never know in this world.
The most surprising thing about Gareth Cliff that people don't understand.
He's actually very charitable. I think he does give of his time to people who probably don't appreciate it as much. I think he's an integral part of whatever he does. And he is very quick to lift people up and give them opportunities. People tend to see Gareth as selfish, a bit of a snob. And yes, he can be. I mean, his house is very impressive. But I think he's actually very generous. He's actually willing to listen. He doesn't suffer fools. Don't waste his time. But I think behind the Gareth Cliff appearance and perception of people, he's actually just a really nice guy.
I'll tell you a little story. Endure Age was on about episode, I want to go 15, somewhere there.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you need to find guests.
Yeah.
Let's just send out a DM to Gareth Cliff.
Yeah.
Why not?
Absolutely.
But he replied with a voice note. I was like, no. Like, how is the OG Gareth Cliff replying to me with a voice note? I was so scared to push play. I was like, I'm going to do this, because now I don't know what he's going to say. Because obviously Gareth Cliff is controversial. What a cuck show, Jacques. It's like, Jacques, I just checked your page. Awesome show. I don't have time right now. We can maybe chat in 3 months. I was like, wow.
No,
and that confidence that gave me, Gareth Cliff checked out my page.
100%.
And secondly, he replied to an Instagram DM. I was like, no, man.
Yeah.
Like, whatever people think of Gareth Cliff is the opposite.
He's a top human being.
Yeah, I've left the best for the last half an hour of the show.
Sure.
Or whatever's left, 20 minutes. South African sports. Let's chat a little bit about that.
Sure.
Is South African sport corrupt?
Oh, wow.
Or is it just
you
incompetent?
Sure you're gonna half an
or
hour
is
there?
it just incompetent?
No, I would not say it's corrupt. I wouldn't say it's incompetent. I think it's definitely improved a long way. If you look at where the Springboks were, for example, not just the performance on the field, but what SA Rugby are doing behind the scenes, the investment into women's rugby, the sevens game, the under-19s, whatever that may be, the development structures. I think there's some incredible human beings that are doing good things. I think when it comes to other federations, Cricket South Africa has gone through a lot of turbulence, but it feels to me like their structures are improving. It helps also when the team at the top, the national teams, are performing, because that draws in sponsors, key stakeholders that are prepared to assist and grow sports. So I think from that point of view, SA Sport is in a better space. I still think there's a lot of federations that aren't doing things as well. I look at our football space.
ASA.
Question marks, ASA, especially with the road running stuff. Yeah, corrupt is a strong word. I wouldn't use corrupt, but I do think they leave a lot to be desired, especially when it comes to nurturing talent, but also looking after our stars. For example, Akane Simbine, the guy, how many Olympic finals has he made? How many medals has he won? How many African titles has he won? He's an insane athlete, one of the most incredible human beings I've ever met, and I have the privilege to call him my friend. he does not get the support from ASA, from SASCOC that he should
So
be getting.
sad,
And he's one of them. I look at the amount of talented young sprinters, track and field, whatever that may be. There's definitely a big question mark around how that funding is being used. They're certainly not getting enough. Our guys need to be competing overseas. The European season is critical. And Akani and them are doing amazing work through his foundation to get people over to compete. And we're talking about high school kids. So a lot can be done, but it's better than it was.
Why do people like him, SA athletes, but him in particular, succeed despite the system?
Because he's been able to tap into sponsors that have backed him. I mean, they go to Gemona in Italy, and that was Oscar Pistorius's track where he used to train. That is funded by that municipality in Italy. He had some wonderful sponsors who've helped him to get there. But he's also been quite driven in that space where he knows, I need my physio to travel with me. I need my coach Werner to go with me. And that's why he's been successful. Apart from the raw talent, I mean, his top speed is insane. But he's been determined to get people to help him. And he is reaping those rewards. Look, it hasn't the World Championship final, and that wasn't maybe what we wanted. But he's still an incredible athlete. And I really hope he can end his career with a 100-meter medal of some color.
Are we actually producing champions or burning them out in all sports? I know Rusty's got a brain and Rusty's awesome, but I mean, this last weekend there were 20-year-olds in the Springbok team, 21-year-olds. I mean, that's crazy.
We are producing champions, and that's because our school structures are so good. Our school rugby is probably the best in the world. Our school cricket is probably up there as the best in the world. Schools football definitely needs work. That is a huge area where we haven't even tapped in properly. Imagine if we were actually doing what the rugby federations, SA Rugby Cricket South Africa does for schools, rugby and cricket. If we were doing it football, that we would be reaping the rewards. Bafana have done an amazing job considering that they haven't necessarily had all the amazing training facilities or whatever it may be. But Hugo Bruce has come in and he's formed this team that believes in itself, this team that isn't starstruck by the big stars of Africa. And many people think they might even win AFCON. So let's see what happens. But I think we're producing champions. I look at Dricus. I still maintain Dricus is an anomaly. I don't know, and this is said with all due respect, that we're going to see someone as dominant as Dricus coming out of South Africa just yet. It might still be a little way away. We've had some phenomenal athletes. The guys put in amazing work. Team CRT. I look at other gyms where they've done incredible jobs. But I still think the talent isn't a problem in this country. I think it's just maybe putting a little bit too much pressure on certain school kids to be the star. But in general, I think we should be excited about the future of South African sport.
That's so good. That's so good to hear. And even you talk about Dricus being like anomaly. I had Boyd Allen on, and we started chatting about Dricus, and he said, "Jacques, the talent is not that different between all the EFC guys and that's not the thing. It's the mindset."
Yeah.
He says when you talk to Dricus, you know he's going to win. You can see it in his eyes that he's going to win. And I just found that quite interesting. Like the guys all got the same talents. It's what happens up there in the mind.
He comes in for a fair amount of stick for not having the greatest technique or being easy on the eye when it comes to how he approaches his fights. But he genuinely doesn't believe he's going to lose, like you said. He is, firstly, a phenomenal athlete. I think people don't realize. They just see that 25 minutes in the octagon. They don't see the commitment, the work that he puts in. Also, what they also don't see is the influence he has on other gyms, on the EFC. There's no doubt Dricus is our greatest ever fighter. he inspires gyms in Cape Town, in Polokwane, wherever that may be, in Standerton, because he has this championship mindset. And you see it in the gym when he's training. Everyone wants to up their game because he's around. And he also knows he has a responsibility to keep that level up there. So, yeah, special human being. We really are in this golden era of Dricus du Plessis. I hope that we see him fight soon again and that belt returns here, because there's definitely a positive effect in combat sports, not just in MMA, but in boxing, because of what Dricus has done.
And I also think a lot of us, well, all of us forget Dricus, yes, mindset, all of that, but there's someone called Monet behind him, and I would love to just like tap into that guy's brain, because I don't know, just seeing what you see on TV in the change rooms, etc. Like I look at it and I think there's something in there that, like,
Coach Monet is a genius. He really is. I think this Hamzat fight potentially was a blow to the ego, because he's done such an incredible job with Dricus. And when it comes to the Hamzat, the preparations were spot on. They did everything possible to get ready. And I think this is probably something where Coach Monet will go, I've learned from this, I've put it behind me, but it definitely stung, because he is just someone who has transformed the sport in South Africa. And there's other amazing coaches that have, I mean, if I think of Richie Kwan, I think of these guys that have done amazing work. And I know I'm leaving out people, and my apologies, because they deserve respect. But Coach Monet happens to be very much in the spotlight at the moment, because of Dricus.
For sure.
And a very intelligent human being. He's ruthless. He knows what he wants to get out. I mean, he's also a very successful businessman. Family man. So I think he's a very interesting human being, but he is very determined to see success.
Yeah, and I don't think it should be a bruise to the ego, the loss to Hamzat. I mean, that guy was an Olympic freaking champion in wrestling.
Yeah.
He was wrestling at the age of 7 years old.
But you know the fight game.
No, for sure.
There are egos. There's pride at
of
stake.
course.
And when you've put in you feel
every
like
ounce of blood.
Yeah, there's no stone that's unturned. You feel like, and I remember being in Chicago and I saw Coach Monet, and it's the first time he's ever said, if we lose.
Hey.
In Perth, in Sydney, it was not if.
There's no...
It was when. And this was the first time he said in passing to me, if, because he says this guy is proper. But he said we've done everything possible to prepare for this guy. And Dricus was in incredible shape. So yeah, mad respect to Coach Monet. I think he's not finished. There's a long journey to go, even though he keeps flirting with, I'm retiring after Dricus wins the title. I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
It's just last question on Dricus, because you're obviously close to the camp, and
sure,
you're very close to the whole UFC world and stuff. What is next for him? Is he going to move up a weight? Is he going to stay at middleweight? Is he going to go back and fight Hamzat?
It's a great question. You know, Dricus walks around over 100 kgs daily. He's got to cut to 84.
I couldn't believe that last cut that he had against Hamzat. Wow.
He's definitely wants to retain or regain middleweight belt. But I can see that once he's done that, and he's cut full of this weight cut, because it's brutal, light heavy is where he'll be targeting next. It probably was set back a little bit, that move up in weight, but we're seeing double champs now. I mean, Islam on the weekend.
Yeah.
So anything is possible. I think, though, he's determined to get middleweight back, show Hamzat that he's the top dog, and then look at the light heavy. Because light heavy is another world, but Dricus is a big boy, and without that weight cut, he retains so much power and energy.
Are champions born from trauma?
Oh.
All these champions that you speak to?
I don't think so, no. I think I look at some of these amazing people, and yes, let's take a Siya Khaleesi, right? He had a very rough upbringing, and that's driven him, and he's been given chances throughout his career, when he was maybe veering off the path, and look at him today. He's an incredible ambassador, 2 World Cups, the most successful Springbok captain of all time. I look at a guy like Dricus. I don't think there was ever any trauma in his life, but he has this mindset of a champion. So maybe rephrase that and say champions are born with a champion's mindset as opposed to coming out of trauma. Yes, there are people that have had to escape their circumstances and overcome trauma. But there are a lot of champions today across the world that were born with this unbelievable desire to be successful. I mean, you could say that for CEOs, right? You can say that for media moguls. You can see that for whatever, rappers, whatever it is. People are just born with this determination, this drive, and I think that's what sets them apart from
And the
the rest.
resilience.
Unbelievable resilience.
The darkest confession an athlete has given you off camera. No names need to be mentioned, if there is one.
But there have been a few, like guys popping for steroids, not saying anything, and I'm like, but you are twice the size that you were recently, and you got a fight next week, my man. And they're like, yeah, well, I needed it to get through a knee injury or whatever. So yeah, there's been a few. But that's as far as I can really go. You know, a journalist doesn't reveal their sources.
No, of course not. That's why I said that's perfect. I'm happy with that answer. Thank you. Athletes' mindsets on another level, as we've just said. What athlete's mindset has actually almost like scared you the most, and why?
Wow, that's a great question. We often will hang around the athletics track, especially in the lead up to an Olympic Games or World Champs. And it drives us crazy as like sports journalists when an athlete has to warm up for 2 hours. But there's 2 or 3 athletes that warm up for 2 hours. And I'm like, and then they'll do 4 jumps or whatever it is, or 4 sprints or whatever. And it's not necessarily always like that. But I think having a look at some of the warm-ups for 2 hours and the fact that they're doing that 5-6 times a week and then training after that, that is pretty scary, but also impressive at the same time. To put your body in a position where you have to be so warmed up for that elite training performance, not just competition, that's really impressive. So I think there's that. I looked at, and I mean, I go back to Team CIT with the cattle prod and Monet shocking them on their feet.
I saw
That's
those
pretty
videos.
scary.
No, I don't want to be shocked.
There's that. I think, the combat sports world is very different. I think I've seen boxers and the conditioning they do around, taking shots to the stomach or whatever it is, just that kicking tires, bamboo sticks on arms. So I respect the fact that people have to go through that, but that's part of that mindset, part of that elite performance.
Yeah, but that warm-up thing is crazy.
2 hours.
Like 2 hours.
So roll, then it's stretch, then it's jog, and the whole time the earphones are in, you can't do it. You can film, but I mean, it's the same stuff over and over. But it's the dedication to their craft that is so impressive.
Yeah, it's amazing, actually. And it must be amazing just for you to be part of that.
100%. It's something I never take for granted, even though it's very frustrating because we've got deadlines to get to and film stuff.
The greatest comeback story you've ever heard?
Oh, jeez. There was a guy, I'm not going to mention his name, but he got shot 5 times, spent a year in ICU. He was an amateur boxer at the time. He had just turned pro. Got shot 5 times. He was in the wrong. And when I say he was in the wrong, he beat someone up and then tried to shoot someone else, and they shot him 5 times.
Okay.
He then got sentenced and went to jail and came back after almost dying in ICU and competed professionally again. And I was like, I had to put aside the fact that he had committed a crime, but the fact that he had come from death and then would compete again at a professional level, I was like, that is a story of resilience. I think of Danny Costa, for example, who mom tried to, murder is the right word. What's it? Filicide his brothers because she had just a mental breakdown. And he had this incredible career as a goalkeeper, got injured, and then woke up in the hospital, and it was just him and his brother left. And today he's out talking about mental health. He's talking about teenagers, dealing with the pressures. That for me is an amazing comeback story from where he forgave his mom. She passed away from cancer. His brother committed suicide because of his mental health issues. Today, to be a champion for that cause, hats off to Danny Costa. It's amazing.
And everyone loves a comeback story.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many in sports. I mean, I think of guys with hamstring injuries where they had to have surgery and they were told they would never compete again and they're competing. Or guys who have been in motorbike accidents and the next thing they're riding again. So there's so many of these incredible stories. But for me, the Danny Costa story is one that really sort of, makes me just appreciate what I have.
Do athletes lie about their mental health just to survive?
Yes, 100%. I think there's the stigma around athletes where they have to be macho, they have to be seen as in control, but deep down, I know for a fact they're not all 100% confident all the time. Yes, there's potentially exceptions to the rule, but I think even a guy like Noah Lyles, who puts on this amazing show, yes, he exudes confidence, but deep down, there's definitely nerves. There's definitely a voice going, I need to get this right.
There has to
start
be.
right. There has to be. Otherwise, you're not a human, you're a robot. So yes.
Which is also possible when it goes to him.
Absolutely. So I think there's definitely athletes at the most highest levels that are dealing with stuff. And sometimes it's self-doubt. Sometimes it is depression. Sometimes it is not just a confidence in their actual skill set, but in themselves. But they somehow find a way to overcome that and perform.
That's what makes them elite
Superhumans.
athletes, yeah.
100%.
Most underrated South African athlete at the moment,
Oof.
in your eyes?
Wow. Most underrated South African athlete at the moment. I think, sure, putting me on the spot here.
Think about it.
Yeah,
we'll carry on.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because if you think about a Themba Bavuma, for example, people, for some reason, the public is not a fan of the guy. And I don't know why he gets that stick, because he is quiet, he is reserved, he comes across as a little bit arrogant, but I think generally he's quite a reserved guy. But so far, whenever he's got out to bat, like against India, that was a match-winning innings. So I think he's probably one of the most underrated athletes we have today. I mean, you look at the Springboks, it's hard to say underrated.
There's no such thing as underrated in the Springbok team.
But if I look at Damian Willemse and what he can do in different positions, not underrated, but I think we haven't seen
half of what he can do.
Yeah, I think he's a phenomenal athlete. And then, so I would say off the top of my head, because we could be here all day discussing.
Yeah.
So
Damian Willemse, I like it one actually.
Themba and Damian Willemse, even though they both have skills to pay the bills.
Last question. Biggest myth in SA sport right now? Or in general? Doesn't have to be right now.
Jacques, goodness me. Biggest myth. That our athletes are making a lot of money. And I say that because, yes, in the Betway Premiership, we've got footballers who are driving AMGs, G-Wagons, and at certain clubs, they're earning a lot of money.
Well, that's a fugazi. That's a facade.
Absolutely. I think if you look at other clubs around South Africa, guys are earning 8, 15 grand, 20 grand a month. So I think that's probably the biggest myth, is that all our professional athletes are making money. I think if I look at hockey, no one playing hockey for South Africa, maybe a handful of full-time hockey players. So I think there's a lot that can be done in terms of making sure that our athletes are paid better.
Sias, thank you for today.
Jacques, thanks for having me, man.
Thank you for being raw and honest and open and real.
Appreciate that.
It was an awesome conversation.
Thanks for having me.
And yeah, we'll do this again, definitely.
Well, you're going to have to come onto my show, so I would love to have you on my show, and let's talk through what the amazing work you're doing, and also the spotlight you're shining on mental health. I think we as South Africans, actually no, we as men are not taking it seriously. And there's people that are advocates for it, including yourself, that are definitely showing people that there's help, that there are people that are willing to listen. And it's okay not to be okay. You don't have to have it all together, but talk to someone. And that's how I feel.
That's so true. And yeah, we need to talk about it more, men and women.
And women.
I think
absolutely.
women need to take it more seriously when it comes to men too.
Absolutely.
What's happening on Friday with GBV is amazing.
Yeah.
With what the women's thing. But yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you. This was awesome.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate your time.